An 18-year-old schoolboy became madly fond of a teacher twice his age. A woman gives into her feelings and brazenly cheats on her husband in a neighboring apartment, enjoying every second, making unforgettable memories. After which her usual life gets collapsed. Jealousy, assault, and divorce are just the beginning of the price to pay for betrayal. Alexander becomes president of the company and thanks his wife for this, deciding to introduce her to his team. 10 years before that, Alexander is a high school student who is late for class. Having met a new hot teacher, the guy behaves provocatively, for which she kicks him out of the class. She asks to come back and apologize for her behavior. But Alexander runs away to work as a pizza delivery man. At the next lesson, the guy again behaves defiantly and the teacher locks him in the office. Returning home with her jealous husband, the woman remembers the schoolboy and returns to let him out. A little later, she decides to talk to Alexander's mother but does not dare accuse the guy of bad behavior. Offering to study mathematics with him, after several lessons, the student asks the teacher to button up her blouse and admits that he has fallen in love with her. In the evening, Vera receives a romantic SMS message with a declaration of heart and assumes that Alexander wrote it. The husband asks who wrote to her, but the woman hides this fact, fearing jealousy and scandals. In the morning, she receives another message and decides to answer the schoolboy so that he does not write to her anymore. It turns out that it was not Alexander who wrote the romantic messages from an unknown number, but her husband. Suspecting his wife of treason, Nikolai invites her to go into the bedroom where he hits her in the face and breaks her nose. But does it so that his daughter does not suspect anything, having learned that the teacher will not be in class. Alexander runs away from school and visits Vera. He recons his desire to her and asks for forgiveness for this, begging her not to quit school. Polina notices the guy and he has to leave to avoid an awkward situation. Upon meeting her mother, the daughter notices a bruise on her face, assuming that the schoolboy hit her. The next morning, the teachers find an anonymous note indicating that Alexander took a pregnant classmate into to enjoy the time. Vera also sees this note and realizes that it was written by her daughter. Having met Pina, the woman learns that her daughter decided to take revenge on the guy, suggesting that it was he who hit her mother in the face. The police arrive at the school to arrest the guy. Vera tries to protect Alexander and acquit him, but the police still take the schoolboy to the station soon. The pregnant girl admits that she is in a relationship with another guy and Alexander is released having met Vera. On the way home, the guy promises her that he will achieve it at any cost and she will definitely be with him. Vera thinks differently since she is twice the guy's age and nothing can happen between them. A little later, Vera meets Svetlana Genadivna in a cafe. A jealous husband calls and, not trusting his wife, asks to give the phone to the woman to make sure that there are no strangers near them. In the evening, the family returns home and meets Alexander in the elevator. At night, the woman cannot sleep because of the loud music and goes up to the apartment on the floor above her. It turns out that Alexander rented an apartment in order to see his teacher more often and gain her attention. A couple of days later, the married couple has lunch with Svetlana Geta. As soon as Vera goes to the toilet, Nikolai decides to chat with the teacher to learn more about his wife and her relationships with other men at work. In the evening, Alexander and Vera meet in the elevator. The guy stops the elevator to talk face to face. He is convinced that a relationship between them is possible. But Vera proves the opposite. The guy behaves impudently and she slaps him in the face, begging him to stop courting a married woman. A few days later, Vera notices that her ceiling is leaking. Realizing that Alexander is to blame for this, she goes up to the floor. The door is open, allowing Vera to enter, finding the guy in the bathroom. Vera assumes that he is ill, but this turned out to be another attempt to meet, having hugged the woman. Alexander offers to take a bath together, but she resolutely refuses. Vera goes home, but a moment later returns and does this to the guy, resulting in the couple enjoying the precious time in the evening. The husband gives his wife another piece of jewelry and expects gratitude in bed at night. He invites Vera to make this, but she refuses her husband, citing the fact that he has health problems. The next morning, during class, the teacher notices that Alexander is flirting with his classmate and is gallows of him. Upon returning home, Vera goes up to the floor and asks Alexander to move out of the apartment since nothing will happen between them. The schoolboy thinks otherwise and lures the teacher to visit him, as a result of which the couple again does enjoy the unforgettable time. Soon, Vera and Alexander are in a relationship, meeting secretly in his apartment. The woman admits that there were only two men in her life, her husband and Alexander. Previously, she worked in a large IT company and had many promising ideas, but because of her husband's jealousy, she had to quit what job she used to do. She invites Alexander to get acquainted with business projects since he is a smart guy and can implement one of them. Returning home, Vera runs into her husband and lies that she was throwing out the trash. Nikolai quickly becomes convinced that this is not so and wants to hit his wife, but she forbids him to raise a hand against her and leaves the house in the evening. She meets with Alexander and offers to stop dating, but the guy is against it because he madly is passionate about her. The teacher wants to be with him. A little later, the woman returns home and meets her husband on his knees begging to forgive him. Sometime later, Nikolai takes a hidden security camera from work and installs it in his home to monitor his wife while on a business trip. He sees that Vera does not spend the night at home and is convinced that she is cheating on him with someone. The next morning, the family arrives at the school, but Nikolai only allows his daughter to get out of the car. He demands that his wife admit who she dates with and promises not to let her out of the car until she tells the truth, realizing that she is in a difficult situation. Vera deceives Nikolai and declares that she secretly dates with a physical education teacher. Nikolai returns to the school and, having locked his wife in the car, takes a metal rod. He attacks the teacher, but he copes with the judge without much difficulty, as a result of which the man is diagnosed with a concussion and several broken ribs. In the evening, Alexander calls Vera and comes to visit. The couple declares their passion for each other, and they do it passionately, unaware that the woman's daughter is awake and sees all this. The next morning, Pina runs away from home to the hospital to her father to tell him the whole truth. The daughter is disappointed in her mother and abandons her since Vera betrayed the family by choosing a young man. The school also learns that the teacher is dating her student, trying to avoid a scandal. Vera is expelled from school so as not to disgrace the reputation of the educational institution. Upon returning home, Vera packs her things and leaves for her young man, as she no longer wants to live with her husband soon. Alexander admits that his mother knows that he lives with a woman twice his age and is against their relationship. Despite this, Vera and Alexander sincerely fair to each other, so they decide not to pay attention to the opinions of others. Sometime later, the student quits his job as a pizza delivery man and graduates from school in order to devote all his energy to implementing a promising business idea for developing a mobile application. A few months later, Pina and Nikolai go to the courtroom, where the girl must decide who she will stay with. The daughter is disappointed in her mother and abandons her, staying with her father. As a result of the meeting, Vera is deprived of parental rights, after which the couple divorces. Nikolai openly mocks his wife, hinting to her that she is old in comparison with Alexander and sooner or later he will definitely leave her. A little later, the couple visits a cafe where the waitress treats them like mother and son. Vera is very offended by this, as she is embarrassed by their age difference. Alexander kisses his beloved, causing shock among those present to prove that he does not care about people's opinions. Svetlana Genadivna visits Nikolai and offers food, showing sympathy for the man. The judge reacts negatively to the teacher and kicks her out because she is too old for him. Vera and Alexander Ander decide to get married, but they are refused due to the large age difference. Defending his rights, the guy fights with the head of the registry office, after which the couple is allowed to legalize their relationship. A few months later, Alexander and his programmer friends implement a mobile application and sign a contract with a large IT company. Seeing young guys as a potential threat, department heads are trying to get rid of them. They give them an office without windows and computers, but this does not stop the former school children. A little later, Alexander is offered a post, but in a small town far from the capital. He thinks he will agree, but Ver is categorically against it because he must reach the top in the main office and not in its distant branch. And 9 years later, Alexander becomes president of the company and invites his wife to his promotion party. Those present are shocked that the young guy has a wife 17 years difference than him. Sometime later, Vera announces that she is pregnant. Meanwhile, Paulina begins dating a guy who works as a paramedic. Nikolai is categorically against his daughter communicating with a beggar and forces her to ignore his calls. The girl takes this very hard and experiences an asthma attack that appeared after her parents' divorce. Soon, Vera visits a gynecologist and learns that changes in hormonal levels are not pregnancy but aging, due to which she will not be able to have children. Upon returning to the office, she informs her husband about this, and the couple takes the unpleasant news seriously. Pina works as a judge, continuing her father's career exploits. She is annoyed by this work since the girl has to be cruel to defenseless people. Vera overhears her subordinates discussing her and Alexander as well as his taste in clothes. Deciding to change everything, the woman throws away her husband's ties and signs up for plastic surgery for a breast lift, hoping that this will restore her youth. In a cafe, she meets Svetlana Genadivna again and is Shocked by the fact that she became the wife of the schoolboy who she dated with back then, soon Vera begins to be jealous of Alexander's subordinates since they are younger and more beautiful. The couple quarrels out of jealousy, but the husband calms his wife down, proving that she is only his queen. During dinner, Alexander's mother also reminds Vera of her age, which is why the couple's relationship continues to deteriorate. Alexander leaves for an alumni meeting where he meets his desk matey. Having drunk too much, he cheats on his wife with an hide. As the sometime later the CPY decide to take the child from the orphan AI. They ate in preparatory courses and talk with a psychologist but are refused due to the fact that Vera was deprived of parental rights 10 years ago. Meanwhile, Pina runs away from her tyrant father who hit her in the face to live with her boyfriend. Alexander and Vera are looking for a surrogate mother, but they doubt the correctness of the decision. Vera is ready to leave her husband so that he can find a young girl, but Alexander is against this. Soon Svetlana comes to his office and announces that she is pregnant and wants to give birth in the family. 1 year later, Alexander and Svetlana got married. The couple had a child. Pina and Vera have reconciled. Now Pina is the happy wife of a paramedic and Vera is a grandmother raising her grandson. Svetlana has achieved her goal and the elderly teacher is looking for a man on social networks. Lonely Nikolai notices the teacher and decides to change attitude towards her. At the same time, Alexander and Vera remain secret dates, still doing this to each other. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. See you very soon.